Burial is defined in the New Oxford Dictionary as the action or practice of interring a dead body, and is further defined in archaeological terms as a grave or the remains found in it. In Maria Martina Torres' article, Earliest Known Human Burials in Africa, one of Berger and team's primary sources, she states, in addition to the primary placement of the body, the recognition of the burial requires the identification of a purposely excavated pit, followed by the intentional covering of a corpse. Now, keeping in mind that Lee Berger has used Marina and Torres' paper as justification of why Homo naledi buried their dead in his 2023 article, he states, These burial features meet evidentiary standards used for recognizing burials of Homo sapiens. Martina and Torres came out with a paper on October 16, 2023. No scientific evidence that Homo naledi buried their dead and produced rock art, completely disagreeing with Berger and his team. This disagreement with Berger was the majority when his first paper came out in 2023. A crucial part of the scientific method is peer review, which is not observed when Berger came out with his 2023 article. Instead, he published through eLife, a platform in which your paper is published and the peer review later comes out. 2023 was also the year that the documentary Cave of Bones on Netflix came out. In this documentary, there's a noticeable lack of professionalism seen from Berger, contrasting from his previous documentary on the same cave system through Nova, Dawn of Humanity. Lee Berger was seen lighting a fire in the documentary in what is known as the Rising Star cave system. This would immediately reset any of the carbon in the area they are trying to date. This evidence of Homo naledi using fire is nowhere to be seen in any of Berger's articles and is only mentioned in the Cave of Bones documentary. Dr. Leader points out in the Homo naledi controversy YouTube video by Archaeology with Flint Dibble that if there's any evidence of Homo naledi using fire, that would be the first thing they should have tested and published. Use of the fire would be a huge help in the theory that Homo naledi burying their dead. They also pointed out in the video that cave markings Lee claims were the markers left by Homo naledi are very common weathering patterns for the dolomite rock, and the markings is found commonly in that area of South Africa. It is also pointed out that there is little information about the understanding that the Rising cave system looked a lot different than it does today. What is known in the Dragon's Back today would have likely been attached to the ceiling of the cave, and there would have been a more direct access into the Dragon's Chamber through a passageway directly into it, rather than the passage through the Superman crawl. This information is vital on how Homo naledi was able to access the naledi chamber. But as seen in the documentary, Lee's entire proposal on why Homo naledi buried their dead in ritualistic ways rests on the fact that the route to the naledi subsystem was such a hard and treacherous route. Evidence of an easier access completely abolishes his theory. Berger was aware of this fact, and as he is an author on a 2021 article providing context to the Homo naledi fossils, constraints from flowstones on the age of sediment deposits in the Rising Star cave system, where it states, before the Dragon's Back block fell, access to the naledi chamber may have been more direct, i.e. walking below the Dragon's Back block and entering the fracture system behind it. Earlier this year, Berger and his team came out with a revised version of the article. They bring up again in this article of intentional burial found in both Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. While this could be a strong case for Berger, he is still trying to state that Homo naledi burials are comparable to those of Homo sapiens, which, when a stronger case for him, could be arguing that the fact that Homo naledi is a different species, which would indicate that they have different burial practices. And when observing the burials, Berger makes note of both the article and the documentary of what he claims to be a stone tool in the site of it with an adolescent boy, and what he says to be a grave good. He makes it very clear in the documentary of how important this would be if a stone tool is found with Homo naledi. Dr. Leader discusses this in the YouTube video, and he explains that it is likely not a stone tool and more likely to instead be a piece of the cave that fell down next to the body. There is also discussion of one of the burials by Dr. Hodgkins. This body is curled up, and what she explains is the size of about a regular cat bed. The body found in this particular site was an adult, and the articulation is not what is typically seen when observing burials. The articulation of the body is important on whether or not these could be seen as a burial, and the evidence shows that most bodies in this site are not applicable. Overall, this discovery is incredibly important, but as many of the peer reviewers and Dr. Hodgkins and Dr. Leader point out, the articles in the documentary are incredibly rushed, and there more time needs to be invested in this project before any claims are to be made. So no, I do not believe Homo naledi intentionally buried their dead in ritualistic ways.